Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting welterweight Tyler Stinson. Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mike. Thanks for having me, man.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for doing it. Tyler, today was the last day of hard training. You guys had somewhat of a media workout scheduled at your gym today. Just curious, how did that go?
Oh, man, it was, it's a love-hate relationship when it comes to that last day of training, because it is the last day, but it's the hardest day of the entire camp, and it went great, man. It was, it went great, as we had a ton of people show up, and so I think we need to do more media days to get more people in the gym. Mm-hmm. But, hard sparring, and then Coach Whitman and Coach Ramos, they have their own little patented gauntlet drill that myself and Justin Gaethje had to be put through. And, after that, if you're not puking, you're in shape. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was just rough and tough day. But like I said, love and hate. I love that I'm done with it, but I hated it while I was going through it.
Definitely. Now, you and Justin Gaethje have been going through the training camp together because he's fighting for the title. He's fighting in the main event on the same card that you're fighting on. Just curious, how has the training camp worked? Have you guys been working together hand in hand, or has it kind of been separate because you guys, are obviously preparing for different fights? So could you explain how the training has worked? How's it been?
Yeah, we train together, we're roommates, so, we're not just teammates, we live together as well, so, when he goes to the gym, I go to the gym, or when I go to the gym, he comes with me, we haven't really sparred each other, he's not fighting a southpaw, and, but yeah, when we go run the mountains, or, we go to strength and conditioning, we're side by side, along with our other roommates, Jimmy and Bubba and all the guys. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely nobody wanted Justin to have to train for his title fight by himself, mm-hmm. And so I was right there along with him. And then just so happened that I got the call that I was going to be on the same card, so it worked out perfectly. I was already in shape, before they even signed me, let alone give me a fight. So yeah, it's definitely a team. It's more than a team, man. It's a family. I love my teammates and I love my coaches, and we all are there for each other.
Mm-hmm. Now, coaching-wise, how does it all work? Because obviously, two big fights are taking place on January 18th. So, Trevor Whitman, he's the head coach. How does he divide up the time?
This time around, he's worked a lot with Gaethje, mm-hmm. And I've worked a majority of it, probably 98% of the time with Jake Ramos, as far as like punch mitts and stuff like that. But Trevor watches the tape on both of our opponents. So does Jake. And like I said, with other teams, there might be some jealousy or a competition to get the head coach's attention. Mm-hmm. But Trevor and Jake, I feel so honored to be able to work with either one of those guys. And Gaethje, if he's working with Trevor, I've got no problem working with Jake, or the opposite way around. And Trevor watches, what I do, and he'll give me these little pointers. And but like 2 fights ago, I had Trevor, almost every day.
Right.
And so it's, like I said, it's a family. We've got the best coaches here, man. And so if I can get one of those 2 guys to work with me, I'm gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, who's gonna be cornering you for the fight?
Jake and Trevor. Since I got bumped to the last preliminary fight, I'll have Jake and Trevor. And I think Gaethje said he wanted to corner me too. So.
Will you corner him for his fight, since there is that big gap between your fight and his?
No, because he'll have Jake and Trevor, and then he always has his brother. His brother flies out to wherever he fights, and he's his corner too. So if they have 4 corners, then yeah, I'd jump in there. But that's one thing that I learned. You never ask somebody to be in their corner. If they want you there, they'll ask you.
Right.
And like hell, if I'm going to ask to replace his brother, You know,
Definitely.
I'll be hopefully sitting in the front row, cheering him on like a wild man, dude.
Right.
I can't wait for that fight, let alone my fight.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier he is your roommate right now. How did that all get set up together? Obviously, you're now training at Grudge Training Center and the gym that he trains at. Just curious, how did that all come together?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. About a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, the gym got a house to basically put fighters in, and me and Gaethje, we're kind of the permanent guys there. And then, if somebody wants to come in, for a training camp for a couple of weeks, we've got a spot for them. We can fit probably 15 people in the house. But yeah, they threw it together, and me and Gaethje were both kind of pretty much homeless. We were both living with Trevor at the time because we, it's not all fame and fortune and women.
Right.
In this game they call professional fighting, and we were dead broke, and Trevor brought us into his house and put us up in his house, and then a couple of months later he said he got a house for us, and so it's kind of how that all came to fruition. Just Trevor and the management team, Andy, just taking care of us.
Well, it definitely makes sense because, he's from Arizona and I believe you're from Kansas, so you guys are the two new guys there. It would make sense that you guys would live together since you're not from the area. But two-part question. First part, why did you decide to leave your old team in Kansas City? And second part, why did you decide to go to Grudge?
Yeah, so I left Kansas City. And actually, the honest answer is my lease was up, and I didn't have anywhere to go. Right. And it just so happened that a couple friends had been in contact with Trevor, told him about me, and he told them. Trevor said, "Yeah, Tyler can come up here whenever he wants. He's welcome at the gym. As soon as he gets here, bring him here." And there wasn't really anything about leaving a team back home. In Kansas City, I had great training partners like Rudy Bears and James Krause. A lot of guys that are in the UFC now, Jason High, Zach Cummings. A lot of those guys I trained with, and I'd been in Kansas City for about 3 years, and like I said, the lease was up, and I just thought, I've always heard about Grudge. I've always seen Trevor on TV, seen him on The Ultimate Fighter, and I just thought it was the next step for me, and I was right, man, because I came here, and from the first day, he welcomed me with open arms, and everybody here's been family since.
When exactly did you make that move? Was that after the Jordan Meehan fight? Was that after the Zach Kelly fight? When exactly did this take place?
That was after, that was after the Jordan fight.
Okay.
That was actually, no. That was after the Saffiedine fight.
Oh.
I moved up here. And then I had been training Grudge for just a little bit when I had the Jordan fight. And so it was a little over 2 years ago, I think, maybe. Oh. Maybe right at 2 years. Almost 2 years.
Okay. Now, Tyler, one fight that I wanted to ask you about was the Rob Kivens fight. You knocked him out in the first round, but it was a kind of a strange stoppage there because it was like a simultaneous exchange, and you ended up knocking him down and then eventually finishing him. But on your end, you kind of went backwards and fell down and rolled up on either your foot or your ankle, and then eventually you hopped over to him and then were able to finish him with strikes, and then they called off the fight. I'm just curious, what exactly happened to you there? Was it your ankle that got rolled up on? Was it your foot? What exactly happened?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. There's actually a picture where it shows us both falling, and we're falling in the exact same position. But like you said, I was falling backwards, so I didn't have all my body weight rolling up under my foot, because I did land on my ankle. It kind of tweaked my knee a little bit. But Rob, he went straight down. He dropped straight down, and his leg actually broke. It's just one of those freak things. I got a little bit out of position when I threw my left hand, and he caught me with a left hook. you know, and kind of flash me, a little flash KO type thing.
Right.
But yeah, you know, and then the next thing I knew, I see him on the ground, and so, you know, I just pounced on him, and then when I got up, I was limping and wondering what the hell happened.
Just curious, did you suffer like a very serious injury? Because you still had enough power to, you know, hop over to finish him, and then after the fight, you had enough strength to jump up on the cage and celebrate. So, and then of course, after that fight, you fought 4 months later and won another fight. So, did you suffer an injury in that fight, or was it just kind of something where it was you weren't injured but you were hurt a little?
Yeah, I mean, you know, injury is a funny word in MMA. You know, everybody's always injured.
Right.
It wasn't anything serious. It was just, you know, maybe just like a little sprain on my knee or something like that. You know, it's part of the game. And it maybe hurt for a couple weeks afterwards, but you know, I took a little bit of time off and you know, let it heal up a little bit, and it's fine now.
Oh. I see. And another thing about that fight was the cage. I saw the video of the fight, and it looked like it was the tiniest cage I've ever seen. Did it feel tiny in there?
Oh man, it was so small.
Yeah.
It was a phone booth, man. Yeah. It was crazy. I've fought in some small cages before, and I've fought in the biggest cages that they have. You know, Bellator is a huge cage, and that one, yeah, I got in there and I was like, damn, this is a wrestler's dream right here.
Yeah. And it also looked like the fences were way higher than any cage I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it was all kind of a weird night. Great show, you know, great promotion, but you know, cages aren't cheap.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was a pretty small cage, but you know, that makes for more excitement, you know, ideally, because you can't run from the guy.
Definitely. Now, Tyler, since you left Strikeforce, you've won 3 fights, all by KO or TKO. Just curious, why World Series of Fighting? Why did you decide to sign with them? Because, you know, right now the UFC, they're running, I think they're going to run 54 shows this year, something like that, something in the ballpark of 50 to 55, something like that. So 3 finishes in a row, and from the outside eye, it would make sense that you would maybe wait and then hope to get a call or fight one more time and then hope to get a call to the big show. But just curious, why did you decide to not do that? Why did you decide to sign with World Series of Fighting?
Well, you know, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for almost 8 years, and you know, I'm tired of waiting. You know, I'm tired of waiting for people, you know, to come get me, or for me to have to go to people and say, hey, you should sign me, you know.
Right.
World Series, they wanted me. You know, they contacted us and they wanted me, and they offered me a very nice contract that you know, I couldn't turn down, and the fact that Gaethje's in there as well, you know, and he's going to take the title, you know, and I think it'd be a pretty cool thing to have 2 World Series titles at our house. You know, and they're getting big too, man. They're a big show. They're going global, and you know, they're taking care of Gaethje. So I didn't hear anything bad about him from Gaethje. So it was just the right decision. And like I said, I'm just tired of waiting. You know, I need to get on something that's televised. You know, I need people to see me.
Right. Now, is it a 3-fight or 4-fight deal?
It's a 4-fight. Yeah.
Okay. And when exactly did you sign with World Series of Fighting? And also, earlier you mentioned that you weren't sure if you were going to be on this card or not. I'm just curious, when did you get the offer to be on this card? And if you weren't going to be on this card, when were they targeting?
I found out that I might be fighting on Justin's card a couple days before Christmas, actually. I was back home in Winfield, Kansas, hanging out with the family, and then Trevor, he texted me and said, you know, that we're on for January 18th, and, you know, just when I get back, sign the contract. And I had signed with the World Series maybe 2 weeks prior to that, you know, right at the beginning of December, I think. But like I said, you know, I've been training right alongside with Justin, you know, so it wasn't anything, you know, what's the word? There wasn't anything that I was worried about, you know, fighting short notice. Because 1, I'd been training, and 2, the majority of the fights I've had have been on short notice. You know, I've fought on as little as 3 days notice before. You know, it's just another part of the fight game. You know, if you really, really want to fight, you got to stay in shape and, ready for that call at any time. Who knows when they're going to call and say, hey, you want to fight this weekend? Well, I'm not in shape. Well, that's on you.
Right.
So it's just all about staying in shape and staying ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, this fight between you and Valdir Araju was supposed to be on the main card, but then it got bumped to the headline of the preliminary card. Now, when they first announced it, you were on the main card, and then they kind of just, for whatever reason, they just bumped you. Was it misreporting, or were you actually promised a main card slot?
Well, I want to say promised. They had advertised that I was going to be on the main card, and for whatever reason, they made a change and bumped me down, and it really bothered me, just because I want to be on TV and I want people to be able to see me and I want to get sponsors, but it's business, it's a business, bottom line. I understand that, I've been in this game a long time. So, basically it just makes me want to go out and put on an even more spectacular performance, so they're kind of kicking themselves in the ass, saying, man, we should have put Tyler on TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, your opponent for January 18th, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be Valdir Araju. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Just that, man. He's another guy, another dude that I got to go out and fight. I never really worry too much about it. Especially now that I'm with Garage, I let my coaches watch the tape. I've watched a little bit on him, but I let them watch the tape, let them formulate the game plan, and I just got to go out there and do what I know that I can do, and I'll take him out. He's not anywhere close to the level that I'm on, skill wise, confidence wise. He's not there, and I'm gonna prove that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you'll be able to say better after the fight, but based on what you've seen from him, and if you can compare him to the guys that you fought in this 3-fight winning streak, where do you think he ranks?
Man, I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I don't really think he's any different than I fought a lot of guys his style. Not necessarily just any of these last 3 guys. I fought a lot of short, stocky, powerful guys, I'm sure that he can hit really, really hard, but, if he telegraphs it, he's going to swing and I'm not going to be there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, just another fight, man, and just another opponent that I got to take out. As long as I do what I know I can do, what I've trained to do, he's not going to have an answer for me.
Right.
That's what I've done in these last 3 fights, is just work my game plan and make them react to me, and when I get that, then I can just take them out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, not looking past your opponent for January 18th, but Steve Carl, you fought him August of 2010. You fought him under the Bellator banner. He defeated you by first-round submission. Now that he has the belt in World Series of Fighting, I know you would like a rematch now, but if he wasn't the champion, would you still want a rematch with him? Is that a fight that you want back?
Oh, yeah, of course. Everybody that's beat me, I've always wanted another crack at him. Now, I've gotten a few chances, and I've redeemed those losses. But yeah, that was another reason why I wanted to sign with World Series. And me and Steve are buds. We hang out at the Bellator events and everything, and all that. But fight's a fight, and he knows that he's the champ, and that I'm coming for that. And I think it would be a really, really good fight.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, like I said earlier, not looking past your opponent now, but since you have a history with Steve Carl, what do you think it's going to take for you to get that rematch if he still has the belt at that time? Do you think a win here and then another win is going to get you a shot? Is it more? What do you think you have to do? Just curious.
I mean, really, the only thing that I can do is just win, and just and not win, decisions or boring fights. I've got to go out there and I've got to take guys out, and whoever they lay in front of me, whether it be, Valdir or Berkman or Fitch or, whoever, it's got to be, take them out, and that, I really try not to stress myself out on, how am I going to get a title shot? How am I going to get this? The only thing that I can control is training my ass off and then going into that fight and kicking somebody's ass. If I do those two things, those other things will come eventually. I used to, stress myself out, like, when am I going to, woe is me, pretty much. Like, what about me? What about me? And, once I stopped thinking that way and just worried about what I can control, things start working for you. Things start coming together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Tyler, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank Grudge Training Center, all the coaches there, Jake, Trevor, Tony, Jimmy, Brian. It's a family there. I love everybody. Love my teammates. My manager, Andy Benavidez, he's got a lot of stuff set up for me this fight, short notice. Gamma Labs. Man, I know I'm going to forget somebody. Grudge Fight Wear. Everybody, Large Marges, Best Phillies in Denver. I know I'm forgetting somebody. I apologize, but other than that, man, just want to say thanks to all the fans and everybody that have shown me unconditional support since I started this, and just thank you. I love you, and you guys will be proud.
Tyler, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck January 18th at World Series of Fighting 8 against Valdir Araju.
Nice, man. Appreciate it. And after I pick up this win, you have to have me back on.